Hey guys, I am a challenger player and I ended 1200 LP in EU West ending at rank 50. Throughout the entire season, one of my biggest focal points in every game was the first 4 waves in the game. They are extremely important as they set you up for success for the rest of your laning phase. Today, we'll dive into all the different scenarios so that you will always know what to do in the first 4 waves of the game. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like, and if you're interested in getting coached by me, check the description down below. Alright, let's dive into it. A phrase that I love to use is this. The first 4 waves in the game will very often decide what the rest of your lane phase is going to look like. Try and think back to some of your recent games. If something went right during those first 4 waves, your lane probably felt very nice to play, and similarly, if you ended up being stuck somewhere overextended and you died to an early gank, the rest of the lane phase didn't really feel nice to play as you were just constantly trying to catch back up again. Especially now that most top lane champions have started running Ignite, we're very often playing a more snowball heavy type of game. With that in mind, we need to know what to do in different scenarios in the early game so that we can make consistent plans. So, in order to do so, I will divide this video in 3 sections and it will be a lot of information. So what I recommend to you guys is to just sit back, pay attention and make some notes for yourself along the way. Now make sure to stick around all the way to the end to learn and master all the different options and see how to utilize them together. Let's dive into the different options together. First option is the second wave crash. One of the reasons why I love doing a second wave crash is to put pressure onto my opponents from the get-go. Since you get the wave pushing towards your opponent early on, you will have the bigger minion wave, so it's hard for your opponents to walk up. If he does walk up for a last hit, you should be in a position where you have dead time, meaning that you don't have to last hit as you've already done so by getting the push, and you can look to trade on your opponent aggressively whenever he walks up to go for a last hit. On top of that, you will secure your level 2 first, and if you time this level up window correctly with a trade, that will also get you a very big edge, as I will show you in the example. The second wave crash is also very good to do whenever you want the wave to bounce back to you as early as possible. And there are 2 scenarios where you can try to do this. Let's say your jungler is pathing towards top, and enemy jungle is pathing towards bot. If you're playing a matchup where you can get lane control early, it's very good to do a second wave crash and make the wave bounce back into you by not contesting the third wave too much. The wave will naturally bounce back to you because his third wave arrives much faster than yours, and since your third wave is overextended past halfway of the lane, that also means that the fourth wave of your opponent will arrive faster to his still existing third wave. That makes it bounce back into you. Whilst the wave is bouncing, your opponent is forced to walk up for any last hit that he wants, and this is good because our jungler will be topside and enemy jungle will be around bot because of the pathing, and that makes your opponent very vulnerable to ganks. This trick is also good to use whenever your jungler is pathing away from you to bot and enemy jungle is pathing towards top. After doing the second wave crash and not contesting the third wave too much, the wave will bounce back into you, so you're not forced to walk up for any last hits whilst the enemy jungle is around topside. The only thing we do have to care about is not getting dived by the slow push that is coming into us now, so avoid doing many trades. Another simple reason why it is good to perform a second wave crash is because your opponents will often already lose a lot of farm under the turret because the last hits are quite tricky to time for a lot of champions in the early game. Alright, let's talk about some downsides to the second wave crash. After crashing the wave at wave 2, we're generally going to be sitting around 200 to 250 gold depending on how many minions you have farmed, and this isn't enough gold to get a good reco in simply because you cannot buy anything. So, after a second wave crash, we cannot look for a reco opportunity. Another reason is when doing a second wave crash and letting it bounce into you, we lose priority for the scuttle in the early game. This is only if you let it bounce. You could alternatively also decide to start pushing again on wave 3 after you have bounced it in the first 2 waves. Alright, with that out, let's look at a good example of a wave 2 crash. Okay, so to look at a perfect example here together, you can see that my jungle is going to be starting blue buff and pathing into bot. Whereas I left a ward here and I know that the enemy jungle right now is starting bot and he's going to be pathing into top, meaning that very likely my jungler will not have any interaction with the first 4 waves in top lane, whereas the enemy jungle could, right? With that in mind, I never want to be in a position where I'm going to be overextended here in the lane that I can be very vulnerable to any gank from Kha'Zix ending up being topside with his clear, right? So in these kind of scenarios, we're going to be looking for a second wave crash. So let's play it out. This is from a previous video. Yeah, this is why it's looking like this right now. So I try and get the priority right. As you see, I've already hit this minion waves quite a few times, or this minion quite a few times, so just get the push. He tries to contest this with his Q. I dodge it, so I get a free trade right here. Very nice. So now I kind of have the push priority, and I got my first aggressive trade in. This is already very good. So let's continue to look at how we played up from here. So we get the priority. And after the first 6 minions in the first wave, you only need 1 more melee minion from next wave to get your level 2. And this is also the priority I meant, right? Is whenever you, or sorry, what I meant is so strong is whenever you get the priority, you can get your level 2 first, and your opponent is not really allowed to walk up for any last hit simply because you're going to be level 2. So I'm going to be saving up my Q here, and I'm going to try and get this last hit in before he wants to walk up for this last hit, right? So I'm going to be trying contesting this as aggressive as I can. So he tries to go for it. I know that my minions are all targeted to it, so they'll finish it off. And right here, I get my level 2, and I should be in range to just press W and another auto attack, chunking him down to almost like 1 HP, right? But I step back, unfortunately missing my timer, but still you see the intention and why getting this priority is so extremely good, right? Because ultimately I still get a very good trade, and right now I can just get the crashing for free. So I get the level 2 wave crash, and I will never be vulnerable to enemy jungle ending up being in topside right now. And as you can see, my Kha'Zix is still on wolves. If enemy jungle was doing the same pathing, he would always also be around wolves, unless he clears very fast, he might be on raptors. Now there is a clear that enemy jungle can do that is like blue buff, gromp, a red buff, or like raptors into topside, right? That is like a level 3 cheese clear. Junglers do this, so this also prevents you from getting cheesed by that clear. So now I have 2 options. On this third wave, I could let it bounce into me, right? And that means that I'll never be forced to walk up for a last hit and that I'm safe. And alternatively, we saw Zed here and he's going into bot side. So now I also know, okay, I can also just contest this third wave and then I'm completely fine. There's no trouble, and yeah, we're in a good spot. So this is a perfect example of why second wave crash is very good. As you see right here, this guy has no potion left and he's 70% HP, whereas I still have 2 potions. I'm very strong. So it also benefited me in the trades because I had the aggression, right? I had the level 2 first, I could get the favorable trades, and right now I can just decide, do I let this bounce into me or do I push back? Since that is bot, I'm going to be pushing back and continuing to pressure and look for a recall that I can get later on. So let's talk about the second option, which is the third wave crash. Now the third wave crash is quite similar to the second wave crash, but this time around we're not pushing as fast as before, so that we can crash the wave on wave 3 instead of wave 2. The most important thing when doing a third wave crash is making sure your minions crashes cleanly before the fourth wave of your opponent arrives. What I mean with the crash is not only that it walks into enemy turret, I also mean that your minions actually aggro onto the turret. If you don't push the third wave fast enough, the problem you run into is that your stacked up wave will start to hit your opponent's fourth wave because we didn't push fast enough. And this is bad because now you kind of want to stay as you don't want to lose out on a full wave, but at the same time you don't want to stay because you're playing underneath an enemy turret, making yourself very vulnerable. So it is very important to make sure that you set the wave up in a position to cleanly crash on wave 3 before enemy fourth wave arrives. Again, one of the big benefits that you gain from pushing early and looking for a third wave crash is that you will get your level up to level 2 and to level 3 faster than your opponent. And that allows you to look for very aggressive trades if you play with your level up timers appropriately. Another really nice benefit you get from doing a third wave crash is the option to look for a recall, which is called a cheated recall. A cheated recall is basically getting a recall in and getting back to lane with losing minimal resources. If you farm decently and got around 60 minions out of the first 19, you should have around 400 to 500 gold, giving you options like a ruby crystal, a longsword, coal, or thorn items on your first base. The wave will automatically be bouncing back into you, and you can look to either contest the bounce, set up a freeze, or even look for a kill because you now have the item lead and your opponent still needs to find a way to recall. Another benefit you get from crashing on wave 3 is that we have full priority for our jungle to take the first scuttle, as you should have access to the river first. So if any fight were to happen there, we are first. Now there is one downside to a third wave crash, and that is cheesy early clears into top. Enemy jungle can do a 3 camp clear into top lane, and that means that they will be arriving top before you have had the chance to push out wave number 3. So if you're facing a jungler such as like Elise or Jarvan, and you're scared of them pathing to top early, what we can do against that is leave a ward in the river, or try to spot out their starting position so we know what they're up to and we can be safe. So let's take a look at a wave 3 crash example. Okay, So, for an example for the third wave crash, I played this game on stream, so that's why the map is covered, but I'll still walk you guys through it so you can all have a good insight. So, as I said, when I want to look for a third wave crash or to play aggressive early, I'll be looking to leave a late ward so I can scout out what enemy jungle is doing. So I leave a ward here. You can't see, but my Hecarim is starting a red buff, so my Hecarim is going to be pathing top into bot, and enemy jungle is going to be pathing from bot side into top side. So, with that in mind, I'm going to look for a cheese in the early game, and the Ornn walks up, so let's play this out. Alright, get a little trade in, very standard. You see I'm looking to play very aggressive in the early game. So good. I think he won the trade there, but it's okay. I at least maintain the priority over the wave here so that I can look for a third wave crash. And as you see, I'm not pushing as fast as I was in the example of the second wave crash, because again, if we push too fast, we simply cannot look for a third wave crash because the wave will be pushing too fast, right? So you see I'm looking a little bit slower here. I'm looking for another trade. It's okay, not the best. I think it's an equal health trade. I still have some potions left, so it's okay. So now the second wave comes. As you see, enemy blue buff is still up. I check for a second. That means enemy jungle is obviously pathing top right. So my goal on this wave, the second wave right now, is it's still in a relatively centered position, and this is nice because now the third wave can walk up all the way here, and then I can farm it in a relatively comfortable spot, push it as fast as possible, and then look for my recall, right? Because we're looking for a third wave cheater recall here. So try and contest the priority. I'm gonna get my level 2 first, so this Ornn is not allowed to walk up. One more me, and then I get my level 2. Very nice. So just only last hitting, because again, I want this third wave to walk up as far as possible, right? Because when it's walking up to here, I can farm it in a relatively comfortable spot. Okay, third wave should come anytime now. There it is. So now, one other thing that is very important, like I was mentioning, is right now I only need 2 more melee minions before I hit my level 3. And you need to be very conscious of this and play towards it, because this is the big advantage you get, right? We have the priority. He still needs to kill 6 minions of mine, plus 2 minions from wave 3 in order for him to get level 3, whereas I only need 2 minions right now to get my level 3, and I'll be looking to play around that, as you can see right here. So take a look, I use my E, 1 minion dies, okay, I initiate the trade, even though it looks bad for me right now, boom, I get my level 3, and just because I get my level 3, that is also the reason I end up getting this kill, and that is the big edge you get with getting the priority in the early game. As you see, let's replay it one more time, just because I look to play so aggressive and I'm so aware of my level up timer, that is the only reason I get the skill, right? I prioritize the alt attack on the minion, I get my level 3, I use my abilities, and there we go, we get a kill. So now obviously I need to push in this wave as fast as possible. Like I said at the start, we need to make sure that this third wave crashes before the fourth wave comes. I need these minions to crash onto the turret and get the aggro onto the turret. So I'm using everything in my power to push it as fast as possible. He TP's back. It's all good because these minions are aggroed onto the turret right now. And as you can see, when I'm running back, you see I'm not losing any minions, or at least it's slow pushing back into me, and then Ornn decided to hard push it, so now when I'm coming back it's looking like this and I get a freeze. So this is why the third wave crash was super good. I wasn't too scared of enemy jungle pathing to top early. I used my level up timers to look for aggressive trades, and now we end up coming back in a very good spot. Now let's look at our gold as well. So we're on 800 gold right now because we got the kill right, we had 16 farm. So let's say we didn't get the gold, we would be at 500 gold right now recalling, and we get probably like a D-blade plus a potion or a longsword plus a refillable. So that is the third wave covered. Let's look at the last example now. Now let's talk about another option, which is the fourth wave crash. A fourth wave crash is generally speaking the best one to do if you can pull it off. At the same time, it's also the hardest one as you need a few conditions. The wave needs to stay in a center position in the lane long enough so you can make sure to push the first 3 waves relatively slowly to ensure that the wave stays in that center position. And then we need to instantly push the fourth wave when it comes. This is important because if we instantly crash the fourth wave when it arrives, we can look to get a very nice shield recall. In order to keep the first 3 waves in the center of the lane, we generally really need to play towards last hitting at the latest frames before the minions die. And we do this so that the wave pushes very slowly towards the enemy. So let's talk about some very good things that happen from a fourth wave crash. If you manage to push the fourth wave and crash the wave properly so that your minions aggro onto the enemy turret, you will be in a very good spot. Your opponent, however, will be in a very tough position and is basically forced to make a bad decision. They have 2 options. They can either catch the wave that is under the turret and look to recall, Or they can catch the wave that is on their turret and try to hard push the next wave that is in the lane so that they can get the reset themselves. Both options for them are bad, and here's why. If they look to recall, after they have collected the wave position will be in a way that it will automatically start slow bouncing back into you, as I will show you in the example. And because of this, your opponent will always lose more than you do, and you will come back to a very good wave state. Now, if they try to push the wave after you've recalled, they're still in trouble if you have recalled fast enough before. Because if you recall fast enough, you should always be back in your lane in time to catch the wave that he's trying to push. And you can either set up a freeze, you could potentially look to cancel his base, or maybe you can even look to all in your opponent and get a kill. And this is why this 4-wave crash is so good, and you will always benefit from it. Similar to the second wave and the third wave crash, another benefit you get from pushing towards your opponent is having the ability to play towards level ups and get favorable trades. Since we're pushing quite slowly, you can very often also delay a lot of last hits just by enemy minions killing your minions and your opponent not being able to contest them as you are level up. Another very big thing to realize is that you will have a lot more gold after the first 4 waves on your cheater recall. If you have farmed around 22 to 25 minions, you will be sitting around 650 to 700 gold, allowing you to even get 2 early game items on your cheater recall. Alright, so let's look at 2 good examples of when to do a 4th wave cheater recall and also what happens that completely snowballs the laning phase. Okay, so let's take a look at the first example of a 4th wave crash. So here we can see I left a ward right there. I'm assuming enemy signing is leashing, right? So I'm looking for a cheese, which is very standard, right? Riven is very strong level 1, so he comes here and we look for a nice cheese. Very nice. Goes W start, that's all good. Okay, so we get a very good trade. So now, as you can see, I haven't really started to push yet, right? All these means are relatively equal. I'm trying to zone him out of the EXP, and I'm still getting the EXP myself. So this is already very good. He's lost both means, I've lost all means as well, but it's alright because I still got the EXP, he did not. So right now, as you can see, we've met those conditions that I was talking about earlier, right? The wave is still in a centered position, and it is not hard pushing towards my opponent right now. It is actually a full slow push. So my goal right now is to not hit this wave at all, right? Just let it push gradually, keep this wave in the center position, and look to last it at the last frame so that we can look for a 4th wave crash. Now in the meantime, what I'll be trying to do, especially since we got this trade off at level 1, is try to avoid him getting any last hit. So let's take a look at how we play this out. Perfect. He can't walk up, he's too low. Lovely, as you see, I'm last hitting really at the last frames that I'm able to. Trying to delay it as long as I can. And he's missing all the last hits in the meantime as well. He's still yet to take a single last hit. Constantly waiting when I can take the last ones. Now the 3rd wave comes. As you see, I have 4 minions left. He has 2 minions left. So even though it is pushing towards him, it is not pushing as fast, right? So again, only slow pushing. I'm checking here. This is wave number 4. I'm also, going around it. That is my plan. Crash on wave 4, look to recall. That is my plan here. And the big reason to do this again, right, to repeat it, is if I hard push this wave right now, or sorry, if I slow push this and then hard push next, I can recall and he is forced into a bad decision anyways. So that's the plan here. Now he goes for a last hit. This is the aggressive trades I'm talking about. I only need this minion to get my level 3. He walks up. Okay, I get my level 3. I look for it. I instantly space forward as well because I know it's an all-in window. And he walked up. And that is the other big thing we get with this priority, right? Is he cannot walk up for any last hit simply because I'm always going to be a level up. And on top of that, he also missed EXP, but he would never be even close to level 3. That is the first minion he got this game. I'm already at 11. And now I get the free kill as well. So lovely. I get it in. Hard push this wave as fast as I can, remember, because this is the 4th wave, so I'm looking to try and crash this as fast as I can. I don't even care about the last hits too much right now. I already got the gold anyways. So, got this wave in before the next wave can come. He cannot freeze it, as you see. This is where the next wave is at. So I can safely recall right now and make sure that I am back in time with this wave in order to contest the bounce. Now, had the Scion not died, the same concept would still happen, although he is running TP this game. So, let's look at what we come back to, right? We're walking back into lane. We're going to be running back. And he cannot hard push this wave because I would always be back in time to catch it. And now we're coming back. And now he still cannot play because I have item lead. He is stuck in lane. And he can't really play. And because of this, we even end up getting a 2nd kill. As you can see right here, I'm just hard contesting him very hard. I'm just going to skip through it a little bit. And yeah, he's still not really able to play. And then we kill this guy again. Very nice. So this is why this fourth wave crash is so good, guys. Keep doing this. Alright, this is going to be the last example, and in this one I kind of want to take you guys through more situational options and see how I make decisions based on the wave states and the conditions that I'm getting in the laning phase in order to still make good plans and get the correct reset. So let's take a look together, right? So what we see right here is enemy jungle is going to be starting topside, if I remember correctly. I'm playing this game on stream, so that is why the map is covered. I'm sorry for that, but I'll walk you guys through it so you all know what's going on. So this guy's starting red buff, meaning he'll be pathing top into bot, and he won't really have any interference with top lane in the first 4 waves, right? And if I remember correctly, I think my jungle is doing the same. He's also pathing from top into bot. So Jack's starting in lane, he's running Ghost, Ignite, and a D-Blade, so he's having a very aggressive setup. I'm just looking to get the priority because if I get my level 2 first, ultimately I will have the priority, right? Because level 2 against level 1 will always win. So I'm trying to get the priority here. That is my first goal. But he's spacing quite well, so I can't really get it. Alright. Going to continue the slow push, and nothing much really going on here. Right, he uses a Z, that's all good. That means that I'll probably get my level 2 first, which is what I'm going to be trying to do. I need one more main to get my level 2 right, so that's what we're looking for here. Okay, we both get level 2 at once. Again, not really much happening right now, so let's skip a little bit forward. He trades me a little bit, that's all good. Third wave comes, third wave is still in a relatively even spot, right? And if you remember, these two casters are still alive, so I actually will not get level 3 from just these two means. I still need to kill these as well. So my level up is a bit delayed. I use my E here for his E, and we're all fine. So now my goal, of course, is to try and secure my level 3 so I can contest him again. Alright, we kill all the minions. We need one more melee. We get it in, but he gets level 3 as well, so we're at the same time. Wave is still in a center position. Okay, we do another trade. Now this was wave 3. Wave 4 is going to come up right now. But the question right now is, right, am I able to hard push this fourth wave? No. First of all, because this guy is in my face and because I've used all my abilities, right? So obviously I cannot look for a fourth wave crash now since this guy is fighting me. So I fight a little bit back. That's all good. So now pause this, right? We can't see where the next wave is at, but it has spawned and is walking towards us right now. So now my goal is going to be slow pushing this because it is still in a center position, as you can see. And that means that I can allow to slow push this, let the next wave walk up, then hard push the next wave and look for a recall. And the Jax will still be stuck in lane, being forced into a bad position as he does not have TP. So let's play this out, right? Let's see what happens. So now I'm just going to slow push. Play it out a little bit, we're just slow pushing, waiting for this next wave to walk up. Now, when the next wave comes, look at what I'm going to do, right? Get my level 4, kept all my abilities up, I'm going to look to hard push this as fast as I can. There we go. Focus the casters after. Hard push it. Get it to crash, and now this is the situation that I was talking about. Jax is forced into a bad decision, right? Because what are his options? He can look to catch this wave and recall, or he can look to catch this wave and then also catch the next wave that is going to come. But you see how far it was away? We saw it for a split second, so let's go back to it. It would simply take Jax too long to catch both this and catch this wave, right? It's almost at my tier 2 right now, so we'd have to wait really long. And since it's at my tier 2 right now, it gives me enough time to recall, spend my gold, run back, and contest the wave. So, this Jax is catching the wave, I'm in base, I'm starting to run back. What can a Jax do? Recall and walk back, right? Or look to hard push now. He goes for the recall, as you see right here. He's not looking to hard push it, so now we're going to be in a spot where this wave is actually going to be bouncing into me, as I said. And now look what the result is going to be. So, we get back to lane, we spend our gold, we have double longsword because we got a 5th wave delayed crash. And as you can see right now, this wave is slow pushing towards me simply because these means are a bit past halfway of the lane, right? It's more towards his side. That means that his next wave will arrive a bit faster than mine, ultimately pushing towards me. So this is very good. The Jax is always losing more than I am. And now he comes back, and he is actually not really able to play because playing in this pocket, he is very vulnerable to ganks, right? If he walks up for any last, it is way, like, it's overextended. And I'm also level 5 against level 4 simply because I got more EXP. So right now, just because of that delayed recall, I'm always going to be in a beneficial spot because I'm going to be ahead in XP, the wave's in a good position for me, and Jax just hates his lives right now. And because of this, I will build an extremely big CS lead, because at the end of all this will just play out. Right now it's at 21 CS, I'm already at 39, right? So it's expanding very rapidly, And I can play in this pocket for super long if I just keep it in this position and only last it when I have to. And make sure this wave just keeps pushing towards me. So now we're already at 45 against 22. This guy just cannot play. And I just walk up to zone him. I can even just zone him from the cannon EXP, right? And this just continues on. Still cannot play. So we end up being, let's see how much. I end up slow pushing it back and getting it to crash. And now we are 60 CS against 22 guys. So I was 35 against 22. And now we're 60 against 22. So yeah, and that all stems from that like wave recall where he is in a bad spot and we will always benefit, right? And this is why it is so important, guys, to play good with your first 4 waves, make plans, and ultimately expand your lead, win your games, and get the LP. Alright, if you made it all the way to here, congratulations, you should now know how to play out your first 4 waves correctly and start winning your lanes early on. Good luck in your games, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace!